Hey guys, and welcome to the course. Let me take the time firstly to thank you for enrolling in this course, and secondly to let you know that if you run into any problems along the way as you move through this course, just let me know. I'm here to help, so if you have any issues or bugs or your code's not working, just ask me a question or send me a message and I'll usually get back to you within a couple of hours. It's also worth noting that this is not an introduction to HTML course, and all I mean by that is while we do go over the basics, particularly at the start of the course, we don't go over them in the same amount of detail as you would find in an introduction to programming course. Okay, so all that means is if you've never programmed before, just ask me some questions if you need some more explanations. I'll be happy to spend as much time as you need going through things with you. And the very last thing before we get started with this is just when you feel the time is right, if you could leave this course a positive review, I'd really appreciate it, because as instructors, the positive reviews are all we have to go off. So I'm really thankful for all the positive reviews I get. Okay, well, I've said everything I need to say. Let's get started. So we're going to get started now. The first lecture is the most boring one. We just have to set up our web server and our text editor. This is the only time in the course you'll have to actually download things and set things up. So just bear with me through this video, and after that we'll be on to the good stuff, okay? So the first thing we're going to install is Sublime Text, and this is just a text editor, and you're free to use any text editor you want if you have a favorite in mind. Maybe you just like using the Notepad. You can use any text editor you want, but this is a very typical programming text editor, particularly for HTML. So this is a very good one to go with. So if you just Google Sublime Text and click on the first link, it will take you to this website, and you can just click download. I'm on a Mac, so it's for OS X, but it's available on all operating systems, so you have no problems with that. So I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to click save, but the setup's pretty simple, so I won't need to run you through that. So this is what Sublime Text looks like. At the moment, it just looks like a blank screen. There's not much to it. It just allows you to type code, and that's really all you need to know. It's a really simple thing, okay? So the next thing we're going to install is our web server, and the web server just allows us to test our code locally without having to buy hosting or anything. Okay, so you just type in XAMPP just like that, because that's the name of the web server we're going to use, and click on the first link. From there you'll see the different operating systems it's available on, so go ahead and click yours. Like I said, I'm on a Mac, so I would click this one, and then you should see the installer appear. So click save and save that wherever you want. I have already downloaded it ahead of time to just try and speed things up a little bit, so I won't save it again. But once you've saved it, go ahead and open it up and click on the file you just downloaded, and that will start the installer. So on a Mac, it looks like this. Obviously, it will look slightly different on your operating system. So just go ahead and open that up. I need to enter my password, which is just the password for my computer, but you may or may not need to do this. Go ahead and click OK. And you'll see the wizard appear. This is pretty simple. Just click through. Like I said, it looks slightly different if you're on like a Windows operating system or something, but for the most part, it's the same. Okay, I think on the Windows one you have a bunch of different things you can install down here, but just leave the defaults and then click next, and then when you click next again, it will install. Okay, like I said, I've already installed it, so I won't actually do this, but click next and it will begin the installation. So once you have that installed, you want to go ahead and open it up. So go to the location that you installed it. So on a Mac, it would be in Applications most likely, and scroll down to XAMPP right there. Open that folder, and then you have this one right here. In a Mac, it's called Manager OS X, but it might be called something slightly different for you, maybe like Control Panel or something. And this is the icon. So double click on that. I need to enter my password again. And then you'll see it's opened. Here we go. So there's really not much you need to do here. Just go across to, on a Mac anyway, manage servers, and make sure that MySQL database is running and Apache web server is running. Okay. On a Windows computer, if I remember correctly, there's a couple more options here. You have like FileZilla, Mercury, Tomcat, but all you need to do is make sure Apache is running and the MySQL database is running. Okay, so just Apache and MySQL. Everything else you could ignore. These may or may not be running when you start it for the first time, but most likely they're not, so just hit start on them. Click on them, hit start. Okay, and that's it. Leave that running, don't close that down or anything. And then to check it worked, you can just go to, in your browser, just type in localhost, like that. Just type in localhost, and you should hopefully see a screen similar to this. If you see a screen with a bunch of languages underneath, just click on your language and it should take you to this screen. If you don't see this, it means that you don't have these set up correctly. Okay, but just by having them running, you should see this. And that's it. That's all there is to it. That's all the installation you'll need to do throughout this whole course. So we're going to write a very quick test page now to make sure that works. So open up Sublime Text, which is that text editor you just downloaded. Go ahead and save that. And we're going to save that to the location that you installed your web server to. So go to wherever you just saved XAMPP to. So in my case, applications, XAMPP, and htdocs is the folder you want. htdocs is where all your web pages are going to go. Okay, because when you type in localhost, it takes you to this folder. Okay, so localhost is just a shortcut to this folder. So you're going to create a new website in this folder. So inside the htdocs folder, I'm going to click new folder and give a name for your project. I'm going to call it Slotify, like that, Slotify, and click create. So I've got quite a bunch of websites in here, but you can see the Slotify website I've just created. And then we're going to save this file in there as index.php. Okay, this is your first PHP file. Click save, and the good thing about Sublime is it can autocomplete for you as you're typing. But we can just type in HTML and click tab, and it will fill in the structure of a basic HTML page. Okay, and to check it worked, we're just going to put hello right there. Save that, make sure you save it. Go back to your web browser, type in localhost, and then slash whatever your folder was called for your website. So I called it Slotify. Okay, hit enter, and you should see hello, which is what we had in here. If you see that, you know it works. And as a very, very brief introduction to HTML for those that are absolute beginners, the body section right here is where all your content is going to go for your website. The head section between these two is where you're going to say what JavaScript files to include or what CSS files, which are your styling files. And inside this title tag right here, we can say, welcome to Slotify, or whatever you want to put, and you'll see that that appears in the tab right here. Right there, okay? So whatever you type in the title tag appears here. So that was just a very quick introduction to the HTML structure for those absolute beginners out there. And that's it. So in this lesson, we installed our text editor, our web server, and we wrote a little test page, and we know it works. Remember, if you have any problems at all with this, just write me a message. I'll usually respond within a couple of hours. So that's it. That's actually all the installation you'll need to do throughout this whole course. So you've made it through the boring part, now onto the good stuff.